We thought we'd warm you guys up, you know, since it's cold outside. There's 3 verses. de colores visto en los campos de primavera. De colores la tierra, ríos con vida de fuera. De colores del largo y gris que vimos salir. Y por esos los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. Y por esos los grandes amores de muchos colores me gustan a mí. Sing of colors that over the hills in profusion are springing. Sing the colors of the birds that fly outside my window, their canticle singing. Sing the colors in the rainbow's bright colors, God's promise of home we recall. Sing the colors that make up the earth and give thanks to the God who created it all. Sing the colors that make up the earth and give thanks to the Creator who made them all. Sing, rejoicing, every creature that breathes raise a song to the God of creation. Sing, rejoicing, sing to God who so earnestly cares, who is over salvation. Sing the good news, sing the love of the Savior, reflecting the colors of all. Many colors that shine from God's face, many colors that tell us God's love to recall. Many colors that shine from God's face, many colors that tell us that God loves us all. Ole! Well done. Okay. We're going to slow it down again. Sort of. Oh, that's right. It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Yes, please put on your sneakers. It's a neighborly day, this beauty would, a neighborly day for a beauty. Could you be mine? Would you be mine? I have always wanted to have a neighbor just like you. I've always wanted to live in a neighborhood with you. So let's make the most of this beautiful day. As long as we're together, we might as well say, would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? I have always wanted to have a neighbor just like you. And I've always wanted to live in a neighborhood with you. So let's make the most of this beautiful day. Since we're together, we might as well say, would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Won't you please? Won't you please? Please won't you be my neighbor? They sound good, don't you think? Well, welcome to Jazz Sanctuary. Thank you so much for braving the weather outside. You know, we decided to celebrate Earth Day today, and we can still celebrate Earth Day today, but we were hoping for, you know, some sun or green grass, and we got snow and ice instead, and it's okay, because it's all part of creation. But I want to say a quick thank you to all of our musicians. Our guest musician today, Eric Bilodeau, we are so grateful to have him here and play with us and worship you. And of course, as always, Ed, our drummer, and Jock, our bass player, we are so grateful. And you should know that Ron already sent a text to Tim saying, you know, we all miss you. And he says, you know, we miss you too. He in New Orleans right now, where it's a lot warmer. Anyway, so welcome to Jazz Sanctuary. And just a reminder, we've got coffee and water out there if you'd like to refresh yourself. It is a chilly day, so feel free. There's also a restroom just through this door to the left, or back out through the double set of lobby doors. And as always, this is a gift that we give to each of you this service, and if you are so moved to pass it on, we invite you to put a donation in the basket. This month, the donations will all go towards my pastor's discretionary fund, which we often use for helping with rental assistance for folks here in Concord. So if you are so moved. Just a final word of introduction. We are celebrating Earth Day and creation today, and I will be using this book for a lot of our readings. I have a bunch of readings this morning. This is called Earth Prayers from Around the World, and there's a lot of wonderful prayers in here, but they actually separate the book out into some of the titles that you'll see I've separated the service out into. So as we begin, we're going to talk about the ecological self, and I've sort of got a reading reading or two for each section. And then when we get to the time of conversation, I'll sort of invite you to reflect on either any of these readings that sort of have triggered something or really resonated with you, or anything else that you want to talk about as we talk about our creation and the earth and our stewardship of it. So I invite you at this time to join with me in our unison opening prayer by Hildegard of Bingen. I am one whose praise echoes on high. I adorn all the earth. I am the breeze that nurtures all things green. I encourage blossoms to flourish with ripening fruits. I am led by the Spirit to feed the purest streams. I am the rain coming from the dew that causes the grasses to laugh with the joy of life. I am the yearning for good. Amen. And now we invite you to join with us as we sing together, Breathe on Me, Breath of God. Jazz waltz. And we're going to do it as a waltz. But now we return. We become plants, trunks, foliage, roots, bark. We are bedded in the ground. We are rocks. We are oaks. We grow in the openings side by side. We browse. We are two among the wild herds, spontaneous as any. We are two fishes swimming in the sea together. We are what locust blossoms are. We drop scent around lanes, mornings and evenings. We are also the course of beasts, vegetables, and minerals. We are two predatory hawks. We soar above and look down. We are two resplendent suns. We it is who balance ourselves, orbic and stellar. We are as two comets. We prowl, fanged and four-footed in the woods. We spring on prey. We are two clouds, forenoons and afternoons, driving overhead. We are seas mingling. We are two of those cheerful waves rolling over each other and intertwining with each other. We are what the atmosphere is: transparent, receptive, pervious, impervious. We are snow, rain, cold, and darkness. We are each product and influence of the globe. We have circled and circled till we have arrived home again. We too, we have voided all but freedom and all but our own joy. So, dear friends, this is a table of welcome that we come to together. And as we gather at this table and to worship together, we remember these words of our brother Jesus. I am the bread of life, and whoever comes to me shall not hunger, and whoever believes in me shall never thirst. And we come to this table hungry and thirsty, seeking to be satisfied. As we gather at this table, we remember these words of our brother Jesus. Come to me, all you that are weary and that are carrying heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. So as we come weary and burdened, seeking this rest, as we gather at this table, we remember that Jesus comes to us in those who are strangers to us, in those who are hungry, in those who are thirsty, and in those who are seeking warmth. We come to this table as strangers in a strange land. And we ask with humble confidence that you welcome us into your family, O God. Please join with me in our prayer of adoration. Living God, you are present in our midst, and we praise you. You are tearing down walls of alienation and exclusion. For this we praise you, because in Jesus you have shown us a way of hospitality, simplicity, prayer, peacemaking, and resistance. Because your Spirit makes a new path for us, as we struggle to live in the shadow of doubt and fear. Weak as we are, you fill us with hope. Lover of our souls, you give us joy, and we praise you. Amen. We take joy in this meal where we give our love and our attention to one another. And remember that Jesus too is here with us. And in the midst of this sacred meal, we set 3 symbols to remind us of Jesus' promises to us. And the first is a candle to remind us that Jesus poured out his Holy Spirit upon us, giving us new life and new power and a new hope. We, filled with this Spirit, bring the presence of God into a broken world. And bread, in the form of dirt cake cupcakes, for Jesus is the bread of life. He nourishes us, and we put our trust in him. And our grapes, represented by sweet and sour gummy worms, remind us for Jesus' struggle for justice and peace. A reminder of his suffering at the hands of the Roman Empire. He suffers still when the oppressed suffer injury at the hands of the powerful. So Jesus is with us in this agape feast that we share together this morning with mini dirt cakes. So let us open our hearts to God and to one another. And as we share this feast, as always, we invite you to try that very hard thing of not holding the plate while someone is serving you. Just let them hold it while you choose your cupcake. And then as you turn to the next person, hold the plate for them while they choose their cupcake. So come, for all things are ready and everyone is invited. Let us share together in the feast of love. You have to just sort of eat it, yeah. You can eat it, with the worm intact, or, you can eat the worm first, or...
This isn't tequila.
Tequila? Oh, no, it's not a blue worm either. Is yours blue? Mine's not blue. Is it? you can, that's true. to invite Faith Clark to come join me up here as we invite her into our community. First Congregational Church is a church that seeks to create a welcoming and safe community for spiritual exploration and faith development. in order that all who might gather go back into the world to bring love and light to all the broken and dark places around us. To that end, Jazz Sanctuary, First Church, Third Sunday, is a ministry of hospitality and grace that gathers and welcomes all wherever you are on life's journey. We are thus delighted to welcome Faith Clark into membership in this community of First Congregational Church, Jazz Sanctuary. And Faith, do you promise your presence, participation, joy and concern, openness and connection with this community of faith? And will you continue to open your heart to the love and light we seek to spread from here into the world? If so, please say, I do, with the help of God and this community.
I do, with the help of God and this community.
And to all First Church members who are gathered, do you who are members as First Church promise your support to Faith as she joins our community? Faith, we enthusiastically welcome you to membership in our community, and we vow to support you as you bring your presence, participation, joy and concern, openness and connection to our ongoing endeavors to create community and bring light and love into the world. Thank you so much, and welcome. And applause is certainly... This is for you. And our next reading is from Deuteronomy, and it's actually also in this book, which makes it easy for me. Deuteronomy chapter 8, verses 7 through 11. For the Lord your God is bringing you into a good land, a land of flowing streams, with springs and underground waters, welling up in valleys and hills, a land of wheat and barley, of vines and fig trees and pomegranates, a land of olive trees and honey, a land where you may eat bread without scarcity, where you will lack nothing, a land whose stones are iron, and from whose hills you may mine copper. You shall eat your fill and bless the Lord your God for the good land he has given you. So we all get to sing together again. As you turn the page, we're going to do this as a samba. And I'll tell you, as we were rehearsing this, I just kind of went, oh yeah, this is perfect as a samba. Okay. Oh, yeah. For the beauty of the earth, for the splendor of the skies, for the love which from our birth over and around us lies. God of all, to you we Our next reading is called Long Ago. By Harriet Colfax. Long ago, the ancients say, this land was free, and it was shared by all. With the mountains and the sea, the birds and the trees, we lived in peace. Long ago, before those others came and built fences, by cutting the trees, dug mines, by cutting the earth, removed her blood, the oil that lies within formed long ago, like us, who lived in peace. The birds sang less without the trees. The land became dry without the birds. To plant the flowers, and we too became quiet, watching our mountains die, listening for the birds that no longer flew, but still we lived in peace. What sustained us through all these years? The nights of silence and the songs of the frogs. For we know, as the ancients said, this land will be again free, and we will again share it all with the mountains and the sea, the birds and the trees, for we still live in peace, and we wish you the same, for we are all one. We're getting fancy now, so you gotta watch out. Our next reading is called Infinite Spirit When I Pray by Jenny Frost Butler. Infinite Spirit, when I pray each day for shelter for the homeless, let me not ignore the pet without a home. As I ask protection for those in areas of turmoil and unrest, let me not forget endangered species of life. When I pray that the hungry be fed, let me be mindful that all of God's creatures have need of sustenance. As I ask divine assistance for those afflicted by fire, flood, earthquake, storm, or drought, let me remember that this includes every living thing. In seeking miracle cures for human disease, may I also speak for the well-being of the planet itself. Let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart and the actions of my life be as one, that I may live each day in harmony with Mother Earth. Amen. So welcome again, and welcome to this reflection of the earth. Most recently, in the past couple months, I've been participating in the new Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival, and they've just brought to powers that be all of their demands. And one of the 4 categories that they're focusing on is ecological destruction and devastation. That it's a moral issue, that our planet is dying, and that we need to step up and figure out how we can do things in ways that are sustainable, and live in community with the earth rather than simply on the earth. So I wanted to share some of these readings with you, and I hope they've touched, a part of your heart or spirit the way they've touched mine. But I'd love to just have a conversation around how you have worked in your own life to create sustainability and to care for the earth in ways that you wish that we, either in a local community or certainly globally, might do that better. Yeah.
Now, one of the things that we're doing, and so many people are doing this on a very local scale, right in their own yards when they have gardens and raise food and, try to live sustainably that way. But for some reason, we feel called, and we go to Japan to volunteer at a place called the Asian World Institute. And that place trains people from Southeast Asia and Africa who are already community leaders, and it trains them in organic farming and sustainability, and then they go back and they teach others. And I'm not sure why it is we have to go so far away to do that, but when our neighbors are doing it right in their own backyard. But that's kind of what we love to do.
That's awesome. And how cool it is to share in community and partnership with, even going that far to explore that. That's cool. Yeah.
I think that it's a wonderful thing that most towns in New Hampshire have good recycling.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And I have to say, when I'm in a space, if I'm traveling or elsewhere, and I know they're only recycling number 1 and 2 plastics, it makes me crazy. Because of that, because I'm so used to having that, I just want to bring all of my recycling home with me on the plane in order to be able to recycle it here. But, yeah. Please.
Along with the recycling, I think we all need to remember the other 2 R's, reduce and reuse. And composting, is a wonderful way of using up a lot of, I don't have to put out as many purple bags by composting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And buying products that aren't overpackaged.
Yeah, I carry around with me now a bamboo set of utensils that come in their fun little carrier case, and anytime I'm in a restaurant or space that uses plastic, I whip out my own utensils and use them and just wash them at home. Same with a straw. I have a reusable, cold cup, that has a straw in it, and I bring that with me wherever I go, so that even if I'm having to use a cup that, from wherever we're using, I just bring my own straw, so I don't use no more plastic. Absolutely. Chuck, both of you. Whichever.
Well, my small contribution again with recycling, but I think restrictions that are placed upon governments and upon industry that keeps depleting the natural resources of the world, our oceans, things of that nature, and it's because the world and nature is such a delicate balance. I feel like it's really critical that we have those guidelines safeguards in place to, really help to sustain life as it was started out to be and needs to be, because as you can see, our atmosphere and stuff, and we already have measures of making sure that we don't destroy our planet the way, people are doing it, just out of their own self-greed, whatever. It's those things that make me appreciate, that I'm doing my little part, but there are other things out there that are being done to preserve our planet Earth.
Yeah.
How many of you live in Concord? So you know about the leaf pickup in the spring and the fall? So I have a really small city lot. It's about 100 feet long by 35 feet wide, and my neighbors have big maples. And I haven't put any trimmings or leaves out for about 7 years. And it's amazing to me. I'm building a very small berm in the back of my yard. But all that stuff compresses over the winter, and it's just amazing. You really don't have to send all that stuff out. You can keep it in your yard. I always have plenty of mulch if I need it or something. I haven't been doing it in the winter, but I try to compost in the summer. And the other thing is, all of our automobiles are way less efficient when you drive fast. And if everyone would just slow down on the highway, I mean, you're laughing, but it's not true. If everyone would slow down and not gun your car so much when you're leaving a red light, as a country, we could save so much fuel and carbon emissions just by doing that.
Hey John, next year contact me in the fall about I got maple trees.
I'll teach you how to do the pile.
Let me know.
Yeah, please.
Another thing that you can do is, in addition to composting, we have worm bins, and it's called vermiculture, and you take all of your food waste, and much of it can go right into the worm bins and feed the worms, and they will ultimately produce lots and lots of castings, which you can use to enrich your garden.
Cool. And worms are awesome. I had to dissect one in junior high. They have 10 hearts. Anyway. Yeah. Is there somebody else? Yes, please.
I've been reading how our oceans are contaminating with plastic. And I feel guilty when I see plastic where in front of me and not something I can dispose of. I feel that every restaurant should once again hire dishwashers. I'd be willing to pay them the extra $2 to know plastic isn't going down my river.
Yeah, I hear that, and I agree. There's I don't remember which state it is. Maybe it's New York State. There's a brewery that's created those awful plastic 6-ring things. They've created ones out of, it's a food substance. It's a seeds and that especially sea turtles can eat. So not that you'd want them in the ocean anyway, but God forbid they end up in the ocean, and it's their one small part in trying to participate in ending the amount of plastic that's in the ocean. So I was really happy to see that. I can't drink beer anymore, unfortunately, because I'm allergic to barley, I found out, so I can't drink it, but maybe you guys can do it for me. But anyway. But my hope is that there's more things like that, and more companies and institutes that realize we can't afford to utilize plastic anymore, because then we're just pulling more oil out of the earth to make plastic, And there is more things that I know that we are recycling. We're using plastic again, but sometimes it's only once again, rather than being able to use it over and over and over again. So, yeah. Other ways that you personally practice sustainability or wish we would in the world? Yeah, Eleanor.
Well, I actually don't participate in this very much, but my husband collects the thrown away trash on our road. And I don't know what happens to people in that
you know, you take elementary school kids and they're very enthusiastic about recycling and about not littering and so forth, but I don't know, they become adults. Or maybe they haven't been exposed, and, you know, we live well, the extension of our road is a dirt road, so that it's a lovely place to walk, but, you know, you see not only cans and bottles, but, you know, litter from McDonald's or Dunkin' Donuts are strewn along the road. I mean, really, folks, I want to say.
That's-
And end up here in the church, and they go eventually to get converted to cash to buy food for Friendly Kitchen. Or
Cans. Yes.
the cans.
Yes. If you are somebody, we realize that not a lot of people use aluminum cans anymore, unless you are a beer drinker and happen to use cans. If you use cans, aluminum cans, please rinse them out and bring them here. We actually have a bin, and I'll just point it out in the assembly room. One of our members, Dusty, comes along and collects them all and then brings them to the dump to turn them into cash for the food pantry. So if you are interested and willing, when you come by and, you know, collect a big bag, and we'll take them over. So that's another way we're doing that. Yeah.
The trouble is that reading recently, they do not collect bottles, glass bottles anymore.
Really?
As a past newspaper
Towns
this
are
week,
not.
the city does not pick up empty bottles.
Oh, geez.
They have no market for it.
Oh, well, isn't that a wonderful reason? Yeah, we can't sell it to anybody, so we don't want it. Okay. Yeah.
Gardening is such a wonderful thing.
It is.
I mean, I was a city girl growing up, but we did have a small garden. But now we have a big garden, and we can't possibly eat everything, so we bring it into the food pantry. But the other aspect of that is that to see the garden that's going on by the immigrants that are coming into our community.
Yep.
Initially, it was over at the New Hampshire Technical Institute, there was a big garden there. And other places there's one in Dunbarton that's growing.
Yes.
So
Well, literally and metaphorically.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that's becoming a huge movement. I think a bigger movement across the country, that there's more people going, hey, we can do this ourselves. We don't need to go to the grocery store or, you know, purchase things that have packaging of any kind. Yeah, that makes me crazy. When I go to pick up organic, let's say summer squash, and it's, you know, wrapped in plastic and in a paper container, and I'm like, I just need the vegetable, really. I don't need the plastic and the paper, I promise. So, yeah. Anything else that folks want to share?
It just makes me think of that class we're doing where wrongfully, no place to dispose of. How many times you told the kids they used to go out in the woods and dig up in the ground to find valuable bottles that our forefathers burned?
Yeah, especially if they were a special color, like blue. Yeah. We've got a lot of work to do, but I am always heartened when I see the movement of people that are going, okay, hang on, time out, we can't do this anymore. I'm gonna have to say, the fact that it's snowing-ish in April, the middle of April, is a little strange. You know, and people often wonder how much longer, or what it's going to look like, you know, in the next 50 years, let alone 10. You know, yeah, please.
I just want to say, I think that we take for granted living in New England that we have rain and snow, and that's abundant. I talked with my friends who live in Colorado and say, you know, we're going to have the worst drought we've had in years and decades, and we're really concerned about it because they haven't had very much snow, nor have they had very much rain. And we take it for granted, but in other parts of the country, it's a real problem. And I think, yes, we are blessed that we have the rain and the snow, even though if it comes April 15th. But it is just to be mindful of the fact, you know, we have been given this gift.
Absolutely, and I think that's probably, you know, that awareness that for the more wet we get, because of how the planet cycles, the less wet other parts of the country and the world get.
That brings to mind, we happen to live on a street where apparently green grass is essential for showing
Living?
for living
Yeah.
or showing your importance in life, I think, whatever. But everybody has an irrigation system. You know, we used to depend on Mother Nature watering, and there's one house at least on our street that still does. Our lawn gets a little brown in the summer, but we don't use irrigation. And when you think and hear about not only places within our own country, but places all over the world that don't have clean water to drink, and we pour it into our ground.
Right. Yeah. It's, learning a whole new way of being together. And in fact, considering what it means for the water we use, for how that affects other people in our country and beyond. Yeah, Faith.
I think of recycling. Recycle your mail. All this junk in the thing. Put it in the recycle bin.
Some of it doesn't even get in the house. It goes right to,
Yeah, as long as it was a recycle.
Yeah. And you know, honestly, there's things like that too, where, you know, calling the companies that send those things to you and say, stop, please stop. And sometimes you have to call several times, unfortunately. But you can call all those companies, even, you know, all the newspaper, please stop sending. I don't need this. I don't want this. In fact, I don't know, maybe it's in California somewhere.
All that stuff that the post office puts in our boxes.
Right, that's what I mean. Yeah, that you can call.
The post office isn't going to stop because they make money that way.
Well, yes, absolutely. But you can call the companies who, you know, mail it through the mail to say stop, cease. Phone books. Somebody, I think one state has made them illegal. Maybe it's California. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But I hope that happens soon. We got ours delivered. It's this big now. It's
useless.
I have Google. I know not everybody has Google, but it should be the kind of thing that you can, if you want one, pick it up at the public library and, you know, to take home with you, like if you need one, rather than being distributed out to, because I never use it. We just recycle it. It's a pain. So, yeah.
I think one hopeful sign is the fact that a lot of modern buildings, especially in newly emerging countries, are recognizing the value of nature to heal as well, from our busy, frantic lives. And you see these elaborate buildings with levels or tiers of trees and bushes and shrubs and the walkways overlooking or crossing over streams. And, you know, it's really encouraging to see that people are beginning to realize the value of nature.
Yeah. And that we are connected together. Yes. That if we don't have enough water, nobody else does, and or whatever it is. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
This is one of those really totally incongruous things in my mind. I give a very small donation once a year to Habitat for Humanity and Nature Conservancy, and I get calendars and letters at least once a week that my tiny little donation doesn't even begin to cover.
To pay for.
And I have written to the companies and said, please, I'll give you money once a year, but that's it. I'm not going to give just because you keep sending this stuff. In fact, I'm less apt to give because you want to send me all this stuff.
Yeah, and that's another place too to call people out and go, you know, I love what you're doing. Please, please, please stop sending me all these things because I'm going to give you the money I want to give you. Yeah.
I have one thing to add about
Please?
the weather today.
Yes.
I heard someone say this recently, and I can't get it out of my head.
Okay.
What he said was, there is no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing.
Here. Yeah. It's amazing. Any others?
Back to the weather. I've heard that snow in April, and this is an old farmer's tale, is a farmer's fertilizer.
Well, there you go. Hey, you know, and I'm not against them. I love
the little doses.
The little doses. These people.
The spring manure, you don't want a pile.
That probably won't be helpful either. It's true. So our next reading, as we move into our time of healing the whole, or prayers, is by John Wright. And it's started with, "Let the trees be consulted." Kind of reminds me of Dr. Seuss' The Lorax. But anyway. "Let the trees be consulted before you take any action. Every time you breathe in, thank a tree. Let tree roots crack parking lots at the World Bank headquarters. Let loggers be druids, specifically trained and rewarded to sacrifice trees at auspicious times. Let carpenters be master artisans. Let lumber be treasured like gold. Let chainsaws be played like saxophones. Let soldiers on maneuvers plant trees. Give police and criminals a shovel and 1,000 seedlings. Let businessmen carry pocketfuls of acorns. Let newlyweds honeymoon in the woods. Walk, don't drive. Stop reading newspapers. Stop writing poetry. Squat under a tree and tell stories." I really like that one.
One, 2, 3, 4.
which is a Chinook blessing litany, and your response, and I will indicate to you when you respond, is teach us and show us the way. We call upon the earth, our planet home, with its beautiful depths and soaring heights, its vitality and abundance of life, and together we ask that it teach us and show us the way. We call upon the mountains, the Cascades and the Olympics, the high green valleys and meadows filled with wildflowers, the snows that never melt, the summits of intense silence, and we ask that they teach us and show us the way. We call upon the waters that rim the earth, horizon to horizon, that flow in our rivers and streams, that fall upon our gardens and fields, and we ask that they teach us and show us the way. We call upon the land which grows our food, the nurturing soil, the fertile fields, the abundant gardens and orchards, and we ask that they teach us and show us the way. We call upon the forests, the great trees reaching strongly to the sky with earth in their roots and their heavens in their branches, the fir and the pine and the cedar, and we ask them to teach us and show us the way. We call upon the creatures of the fields and the forests and the seas, our brothers and sisters, the wolves and the deer, the eagle and the dove, the great whales and the dolphin, the beautiful orca and salmon who share the Northwest home, and we ask them to teach us and show us the way. We call upon all those who have lived on this earth, our ancestors and our friends, who dreamed the best for future generations, and upon whose those lives are built. And with thanksgiving, we call upon them to teach us and show us the way. And lastly, we call upon all that we hold most sacred, the presence and the power of the Great Spirit of love and truth, which flows through all of the universe, to be with us and to teach us and show us the way. And I invite you to share with me in the Lord's Prayer as is printed in your bulletin. O birther, Father, Mother of the cosmos, focus your life within us, make it useful. Create your reign of unity now, through our fiery hearts and willing hands. Help us love beyond our ideals, and sprout acts of compassion for all creatures. Animate the earth within us, when we feel the wisdom underneath supporting all. Untangle the knots within, so that we can mend our heart's simple ties to each other. Don't let surface things delude us, but free us from what holds us back from our true purpose. Out of you, the astonishing fire, returning light and sound to the cosmos. Amen. And for our blessing and benediction from the Apharta Vita. From that which we fear, make us fearless. O bounteous one, assist us with your aid. May the atmosphere we breathe fearlessness into us. Fearlessness on earth and fearlessness in heaven. May fearlessness surround us above and below. May we be without fear by night and by day. And let all the world be my friend. Amen.